Beat the clock. Time isn't the problem, focus is. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. Most people don't run out of time. They leak it. They open the day like a browser with 20 tabs, email, texts, meetings, tasks, distractions, all stacked and screaming. They respond faster, move quicker, try harder, only to feel further behind. The hours blur. The stress builds. The lie settles in, I just need more time. But it's not time you're lacking. It's undivided attention. Focus, not time, is the real currency of progress. And most people are broke. They're paying in partial presence, trading deep work for shallow reaction. Not because they're lazy, but because they've been trained to scatter their attention in every direction but the right one. Focus is hard now. Not because you're broken, but because the world is noisy by design. It's loud, addictive, and persistent. But here's the truth, distraction is not a modern condition. It's a modern decision. As Tony Robbins once said, where focus goes, energy flows. That's not just a motivational poster. It's a law. What you give your full attention to grows. What you divide your attention across weakens. Your calendar doesn't need more hours, it needs fewer leaks. This book isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters, with clarity, intensity, and peace. It's a guide for the overwhelmed, the overbooked, and the over it. You don't need to fight the clock. You need to reclaim your focus. Once you do, the race against time ends, and meaningful work begins. Chapter 1: The Myth of Not Enough Time. It's 9 a.m. Monday morning. You sit down with your coffee, full of good intentions. The day stretches wide open, 8 hours of possibility. Then it begins. A Slack ping. A calendar alert. A text message. Someone drops by your desk with just a quick question. Before you know it, it's 4 p.m., and your to-do list hasn't budged. You say it again, maybe out loud. There just isn't enough time. That phrase is the most believable lie in modern life. We say it when we skip workouts, miss deadlines, or forget birthdays. It's a reflex, a shield. It absolves us of guilt. But it also blinds us to the truth. Time isn't the problem. Focus is. Everyone gets 24 hours. No one has more. But some people do more with the same hours, not because they work harder, but because they protect their attention like a scarce resource. They understand that time doesn't vanish. It gets traded minute by minute for whatever captures your focus. And in the age of infinite tabs, endless feeds, and open-plan offices, attention has become a battlefield. The average worker gets interrupted every 11 minutes. After each interruption, it takes 23 minutes to get back into deep focus. That means you can lose hours without realizing it, like sand slipping through your fingers. You weren't lazy. You weren't idle. You were just pulled apart, one notification at a time. Think of your attention like a camera lens. When it's focused, it captures crystal clear detail. But widen the frame too far, and everything blurs. The same is true with your mind. Try to hold too many priorities, answer every message, switch tasks constantly, and your day becomes noise. The hours may be full, but the output is fog. What changes everything is intentional focus. Not hustle. Not longer hours. Focus. One task at a time. 1 hour at a time. That's how momentum builds. That's how real work gets done. Instead of saying, I don't have time, ask, what's stealing my focus? Often, the answer is hiding in plain sight. An email inbox left open. A phone face up on the desk. A browser with 12 tabs, each whispering for your attention. These are not small things. They are cracks in the dam. Plug them, and the flood of distraction slows. Start small. Silence your phone. Schedule deep work blocks. Choose your top priority and give it your full attention for 1 hour. Not forever, just an hour. You'll be shocked how much moves when your mind is undivided. You don't need more hours. You need fewer leaks in your focus. You need to stop trying to do everything and start doing the right things deeply. The myth of not enough time, dies the moment you reclaim your attention. Suddenly, the day feels longer. You breathe easier. You see progress. And most important, you regain control. Time stops being your enemy. It starts working for you. You don't have a time shortage, you have a focus leak. Distractions are not harmless. They drain your mental bandwidth. 1 hour of deep work beats 8 hours of distracted busyness. Where are you blaming time when the real issue is fractured focus? Silence your phone, close your inbox, and set a 60-minute timer. Focus on one meaningful task without interruption. Chapter 2. Time doesn't care, but focus does. Time is indifferent. It doesn't speed up when you're behind or slow down when you're stressed. It doesn't pause for burnout, pity your calendar, or grant extensions. Time is a metronome, tick, 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 moving forward with perfect consistency, no matter how chaotic your life feels. That's why managing time is a losing game. You can color-code your calendar, stack your tasks, and buy the latest productivity app, but the hours won't expand to fit your plans. They remain stubbornly fixed. The real variable is you, specifically your focus. Focus is what gives time value. One person can sit for 3 hours and emerge with nothing to show for it, just a haze of social media, scattered emails, and half-finished thoughts. Another can spend 30 focused minutes on a single task and make measurable progress. The difference isn't the clock. It's the clarity and concentration you bring to it. Imagine time as a container. It holds whatever you pour into it. If you fill it with distraction, that's what you carry. If you fill it with depth, the outcome compounds. This is the hidden economy of focus. It's what turns minutes into meaning and hours into impact. But here's the catch. Focus doesn't happen by accident. In a world engineered for interruption, focus must be built, protected, and guarded with intention. Left to chance, your attention will always default to the loudest thing in the room, usually not the most important. Consider a world-class surgeon mid-operation. The room is silent, the tools precise, the team alert. There's no buzzing phone, no idle chat, no casual multitasking. That level of presence is not just for emergencies, it's a model for how serious work gets done. Imagine bringing that same depth to your most important task each day. 1 hour like that can outperform a whole day of scattered effort. Yet most people try to bend time instead. They multitask. They stretch their work across late nights and early mornings. They burn out trying to do more. But doing more isn't the solution. Doing what matters deeply is. This is the shift. Stop measuring productivity by hours worked. Start measuring it by depth of focus. One task, done with undivided attention, is more valuable than 10 done in a mental fog. There's a reason great writers shut off the internet, elite athletes train without distraction, and CEOs block hours for thinking. They've learned that focus is not a luxury, it's a multiplier. It makes limited time sufficient. It turns pressure into progress. To win back your day, don't beg time for mercy. It won't give you any. Instead, master the one thing time can't control, your focus. You can't stretch the hours, but you can stretch what you get from them. That's power. So ask yourself, are you filling your hours with movement or meaning? Are you reacting or intentionally creating? The clock won't answer. But your results will. Time doesn't bend. Focus is what gives it value. Deep, intentional focus multiplies your results, even in short windows. Stop managing time. Start mastering your attention. Where in your day are you mistaking motion for progress? Choose one high-impact task. Block 30 minutes tomorrow to do it with zero distractions, phone off, tabs closed, full presence. Chapter 3. The attention economy is robbing you blind. Every day, someone wakes up with a plan, and ends the day wondering where the time went. It's not that they were lazy. In fact, most people feel exhausted by dinner. But exhaustion doesn't mean effectiveness. Being busy is not the same as being productive. And in today's world, it's easier than ever to mistake distraction for progress. The reason is simple. You're not just living in a digital world. You're living in a marketplace. And the product for sale is your attention. Every app, Every notification, every blinking red dot is designed to do one thing: pull your focus. Not because it's urgent. Not because it matters. But because attention equals revenue. The longer you scroll, the more you click, the more data is collected, the more ads you see. Your attention has become currency. And it's being stolen, one buzz, ping, and swipe at a time. This isn't an exaggeration. Tech companies hire behavioral scientists to make their platforms addictive. Infinite scroll, autoplay, dopamine triggering likes, none of these are accidental. They are engineered traps. The result? You sit down to check one thing, and 45 minutes vanish. Not because you're weak. Because you're up against billion-dollar systems designed to hijack your mind. What's worse is the illusion of productivity that often comes with it. Checking email feels like working. Answering messages feels responsible. Responding instantly feels efficient. But rapid response isn't the same as meaningful output. You might be doing a lot, but not doing what matters. This is the hidden tax of distraction. You don't just lose time, you lose clarity. You lose momentum. You lose the ability to think deeply. And eventually, you lose trust in yourself. You start believing you're just not disciplined, just not organized, just not wired for focus. But that's not true. You've just been robbed so often you forgot what ownership feels like. To reclaim your focus, you must recognize that your attention is under attack. You are not failing. You are being farmed. Once you understand that, everything changes. You stop blaming yourself and start defending your mental space with intention. That begins with boundaries. Not vague hopes, but real lines. Disable non-essential notifications. Log out of distracting apps during work hours. Use website blockers if you need to. Put your phone in another room. This is not about being extreme. It's about being strategic. Every time you protect your attention, you're taking back control. Not just of your time, but of your mind. Because the ability to focus deeply, to think clearly, to do hard things without interruption, that's where real freedom lives. There's a reason the most successful people in the world guard their time with intensity. It's not arrogance. It's awareness. They know what's at stake. They know what it costs to live in reaction all day. And they refuse to let the attention economy spend their lives for them. So the next time you feel scattered, overwhelmed, or stuck, pause. Ask, who benefits from my distraction right now? Chances are, it's not you. You're not powerless. You've just been unarmed. Now it's time to take your focus back. Your attention is being sold, and the cost is your focus. Distraction disguises itself as productivity but erodes deep work. You can't out-discipline a system designed to derail you. You must outsmart it. What are the top 3 distractions stealing your focus, and how can you create boundaries around them? Turn off all non-urgent notifications for the next 24 hours. Notice how it affects your focus. Chapter 4: Clarity Kills Chaos. Walk into a cluttered room, and your brain immediately feels heavier. Too many objects competing for your attention. It's not just physical, it's mental. The same thing happens with your schedule. When your priorities are unclear, everything feels urgent. And when everything feels urgent, nothing truly gets done. This is the hidden source of much of our busyness, lack of clarity. It's not that we have too much to do. It's that we're not sure what to do first. So we bounce. From email to meetings to unfinished tasks. We start things we don't finish. We check items off lists that don't move anything meaningful forward. At the end of the day, the fatigue is real, but the progress is invisible. Clarity is the antidote. It simplifies decision-making. It cuts through the noise. It brings order to your day, like a compass in a storm. When you're clear on what matters most, distractions lose their power. You don't need willpower to say no, you have purpose. But clarity doesn't show up on its own. It has to be created. That means starting your day, not by reacting, but by deciding. Before the world gets a say, you choose what will define your day. Not 20 things. Not 10. 1. One thing that, if done deeply and completely, would make the day a win. That's your anchor. That's clarity. This isn't a rejection of flexibility, it's a rejection of chaos. Because when you live in constant reaction, you're not living, you're just managing interruptions. And no matter how fast you move, managing noise is not the same as producing value. Look at high performers across fields, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. They may have different tools and rhythms, but one thing is consistent: clarity. They know exactly what matters each day, and they protect it with intensity. They don't try to do everything. They do the essential, on purpose, without apology. You can do the same. But it starts with asking the right question. Not, "What should I do today?" but, "What must get done today to make everything else easier or irrelevant?" That question doesn't just help you prioritize, it helps you eliminate. Because often the greatest enemy of focus isn't failure, it's distraction disguised as opportunity. Every yes is a trade. When you say yes to one thing, you say no to everything else in that time slot. Clarity makes those trades conscious. It forces you to pause, to weigh, to choose. Without it, you'll say yes to everyone else's urgency and no to your own priorities. So give your day structure. Choose your one thing. Define your top 3 if you must. Block time for them. And when the noise comes, and it will, you'll have a reason to ignore it. Clarity doesn't just improve productivity. It lowers stress. It builds confidence. It gives your focus a target. And that's when things start to move. Not in chaos, but in quiet, deliberate, meaningful momentum. Lack of clarity leads to reactive, chaotic days. Defining one meaningful task gives your focus a clear target. Clarity eliminates noise and strengthens decision-making. What's one high-impact task you've been avoiding due to lack of clarity, and how would completing it shift your week? Before tomorrow begins, write down your single most important task. Block 1 hour to work on it with full focus. Chapter 5: Multitasking is a lie. You wouldn't try to play 2 instruments at once. You wouldn't attempt to read 2 books simultaneously. Yet every day, people try to juggle emails while attending meetings, scroll their phones while holding conversations, and toggle between tasks, convinced they're being efficient. The result isn't productivity, it's fragmentation. Multitasking is one of the most persistent myths in modern work culture. It feels productive. It looks busy. But underneath the surface, your brain is struggling. Because the truth is, you're not multitasking. You're rapidly switching tasks. And every switch has a cost. Cognitive scientists call it task switching cost. Each time your brain shifts from one task to another, it burns energy. It takes time to reorient, to reload context, to refocus. Even if the shift is only for seconds, the disruption compounds. Over a full workday, it adds up to hours of lost clarity. Think of it like tabs in a browser. Open too many, and the system slows. Not because any one tab is harmful, but because collectively, they drain resources. Your brain works the same way. You can only keep so many things active in your working memory. Split that attention, and everything suffers. Studies show that multitasking can lower productivity by up to 40%. It increases mistakes, decreases retention, and reduces creativity. Yet it's glorified. People wear it like a badge of honor, bragging about their ability to do 5 things at once. But the brain isn't built for that. It's built for focus, deep, singular, sustained attention. There's a reason great thinkers throughout history sought solitude. Einstein, Newton, Curie. Not because they were antisocial, but because they understood something essential. Breakthroughs require depth. And depth requires undivided focus. Multitasking, by contrast, keeps you on the surface. You skim, scan, and react, but you don't sink in. You're always moving, but rarely progressing. And worst of all, it feels normal, because everyone's doing it. Breaking free requires intention. It starts with recognizing that focus is a finite resource. You don't get unlimited chances to reset your brain in a day. Every distraction costs you something. And every task deserves your full presence, or none at all. Start by working in blocks. 1 task. 1 goal. 1 window of time. Close other apps. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Let people know when you're in focus mode. Protect that time like it's money, because in many ways it is. You'll find that not only do you get more done, but you feel calmer. There's less mental clutter, less internal chaos. You move from task to task with clarity instead of confusion. And over time, you rebuild the muscle of focus that years of multitasking have weakened. The most productive people aren't doing more at once. They're doing one thing well. Repeatedly. Consistently. With full attention. That's not boring. That's mastery. You don't need to juggle. You need to commit. Give each task a home. Show up for it. Then move on. Simple. Rare. Effective. Multitasking isn't efficient, it's task switching, and it comes with hidden costs. Deep work requires full presence and reduces stress, errors, and time loss. Focus blocks of single tasking are the gateway to meaningful productivity. Where are you multitasking in your day, and what would change if you gave that task your full attention? Choose one task tomorrow and commit to doing it without interruption for 45 minutes. No switches. No exceptions. Chapter 6. Time blocking is a superpower. Picture a blank calendar. It looks free, open, flexible. But that same openness is deceptive. Without structure, your day will be filled by default, not by design. Meetings creep in. Emails expand. Small tasks stretch. And before long, the day has evaporated, not because it was planned poorly, but because it wasn't planned at all. That's where time blocking changes everything. Time blocking is the act of giving each task a home on your calendar, before the world tries to claim it. It's not about rigidity. It's about intention. It's telling your time where to go, instead of wondering where it went. Most people create to-do lists. That's a start. But lists lie. They create the illusion that you can do it all, if you just hustle harder. The reality? Tasks take time. If you don't assign time to them, you're gambling. You're betting that somehow, between the meetings, texts, and interruptions, the work will get done. But hope is not a strategy. Time blocking forces clarity. If something matters, it gets scheduled. If it's scheduled, it gets done. And if it doesn't fit, then you face the truth, something has to go. That's not a failure. That's focus. Think of your day like a suitcase. You only get so much space. Time blocking helps you pack wisely. The essentials go in first: deep work, strategic thinking, meaningful conversations. The fillers, scrolling, reacting, low-priority tasks, only get space if there's room. Often there isn't. That's the point. But time blocking isn't just about productivity. It's about protecting your energy. Different tasks require different levels of focus. Don't waste your sharpest hours on shallow work. Block your peak energy times for your most demanding tasks. Put admin work where your brain naturally dips. This is how elite performers work. They don't just manage tasks, they manage attention. There's also freedom in boundaries. When you know what you're supposed to be doing, and when you stop negotiating with yourself all day. You stop asking, should I do this now? And simply do what's next. That reduces decision fatigue and increases execution. The biggest objection to time blocking is that it feels constraining. But structure doesn't restrict freedom, it enables it. Think of a great jazz musician. They improvise brilliantly within a structure. The structure gives them rhythm and boundaries. Within that, creativity flourishes. Your calendar can be the same. Time blocking is your rhythm. It creates space for deep work, rest, and even spontaneity, because you plan for it. You won't get it perfect on day one. That's okay. Time blocking is a skill. You'll overestimate some tasks, underestimate others. But over time, you'll begin to see patterns. You'll learn your natural rhythms. You'll stop overloading your day. And you'll start moving through your calendar with clarity, instead of chaos. Each block becomes a commitment. Each commitment becomes momentum. And that momentum compounds. Time blocking gives your tasks a physical place to live, preventing overflow. It protects your energy by aligning focus with the right time of day. Structure doesn't limit freedom, it creates the space for it. Where in your day could a clear time block turn chaos into clarity? Choose one important task and schedule a specific time block for it tomorrow. Treat it like an unmissable meeting with yourself. Chapter 7. The first hour is everything. There's a moment each morning when the day hasn't claimed you yet. No messages. No meetings. No momentum pulling you in a dozen directions. It's a fragile window, easy to waste, but powerful when used well. That first hour sets the tone for everything that follows. Most people squander it. They reach for their phones before their feet hit the floor. Within minutes, their minds are filled with other people's agendas, emails, headlines, social media. The day hasn't even begun, and already their attention is fractured. They haven't chosen their focus. It's been chosen for them. But high performers treat the first hour like it's sacred. Not because they have more discipline. Because they understand momentum. The way you start often determines how you finish. Begin in reaction, and you'll spend the day catching up. Begin with intention, and you'll lead it on your terms. The first hour isn't about cramming in productivity. It's about choosing what matters most, and doing it first. Not because it's urgent, but because it's important. When you give your best energy to your highest priorities, the rest of the day gets easier to manage. This isn't new advice. But it's rarely followed. Because distraction is seductive. Checking messages feels responsible. Scanning headlines feels informed. But none of it builds traction. None of it moves your life forward. It only consumes your clarity before the day even has a chance to begin. Instead, imagine starting the day with focus. One meaningful task. No inbox. No social feeds. Just a protected block of deep work. Even if the rest of your day spins out, that one win is yours. And often, it becomes a domino. Progress early builds confidence. Confidence shapes behavior. Behavior compounds into momentum. There's neuroscience behind this. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and decision-making, is most active in the morning. That's when your cognitive resources are fullest. Burn them early on meaningless input, and you'll feel drained by noon. Use them wisely, and you'll carry a sense of control through the day. Protecting your first hour requires boundaries. That might mean waking earlier. It might mean leaving your phone in another room. It might mean setting expectations with others about when you're available. These are small sacrifices with big returns. It also means deciding the night before what your first task will be. Don't wait until morning to choose. Decision fatigue starts early. Clarity the night before becomes traction the next morning. You don't need to win the entire day. Just the first hour. That's enough to shift everything. Because momentum doesn't need permission. It just needs a spark. When you own the start of your day, you reclaim your sense of agency. You stop waiting for focus to happen and start creating it on purpose. The rest of the world can wait. Your priorities can't. Your first hour sets the tone for your entire day. Distractions early in the day rob you of momentum and mental clarity. One intentional, focused win in the morning can carry your energy forward. How are you currently spending your first hour, and what would change if you made it sacred? Tonight, choose one meaningful task and block time for it in your first hour tomorrow. Guard it like it matters, because it does. Chapter 8. Distraction is a decision. It's tempting to treat distraction like something that just happens. Like weather. Like traffic. Out of your control. But the truth is harder and more empowering. Distraction is a decision. Not always conscious, but always chosen. You check your phone in the middle of a task, not because it buzzed, but because you let it. You switch tabs while writing, not because the article was urgent, but because your brain was looking for escape. These aren't accidents. They're micro-decisions. And each one carries a cost. That cost isn't just time. It's presence. It's quality. It's the compound interest of your best attention, squandered in 10-second increments that add up to a lost afternoon. And the worst part? You often don't notice until the day is gone. The human brain craves novelty. It's wired to seek stimulation, to respond to interruptions. In prehistoric times, that was survival. Today, it's sabotage. What used to keep us alive now keeps us scattered. But you're not a passenger in your mind. You can train it. You can discipline it. And it starts by owning your choices. Every distraction is a fork in the road. You can lean into the discomfort of focus, or you can flee toward the temporary relief of something easier. Check a message. Skim a post. Refresh your inbox. For a moment, it feels good. Then comes the crash, the guilt, the confusion, the disconnection from the thing you were trying to do in the first place. Choosing focus doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means creating boundaries around what matters. It means designing your environment to reduce temptation. It means understanding that willpower alone isn't enough, structure must do the heavy lifting. Start by changing your default settings. If your phone is always within reach, distraction is inevitable. If your notifications are always on, your attention is always rented. If your work tools live next to your entertainment, you'll drift every time resistance shows up. Change the defaults. Turn off badges. Move your phone to another room. Use website blockers during deep work hours. Tell your team when you're going off-grid to focus. These aren't dramatic acts. They're small, consistent decisions that build an environment where focus becomes easier, not harder. You can't eliminate all distraction. But you can eliminate most of it. And more importantly, you can stop pretending you have no say in the matter. That shift, from victim to owner, is what separates the scattered from the focused. Distraction is rarely about the thing itself. It's about avoiding the discomfort of work that matters. Focus demands effort. It demands presence. But it also delivers something distraction never can: progress. And progress creates peace. Not the peace of a quiet room, but the deeper peace of knowing you honored what mattered. That you showed up for your priorities. That you did what you said you would do. So the next time you're pulled off course, pause. Ask, did I choose this? Did this interruption deserve my attention, or did I give it away? You'll find that most distractions only survive because you feed them. Stop feeding them, and they lose their power. Focus isn't just a skill. It's a commitment. And every moment you protect it, you take back control, not just of your time, but of your life. Distraction isn't random, it's the result of repeated decisions. Changing your environment is more effective than relying on willpower. Focus creates the kind of progress that distraction never will. What recurring distraction are you allowing, and what boundary can you set to shut it down? Identify your biggest digital distraction. Disable it for the next 3 work sessions and observe the difference. Chapter 9: The Discipline to Do What Matters. Most people know what matters. They can name the project that would move the needle, the habit that would change their energy, the conversation that would clear the air. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is follow-through. The gap between intention and execution is discipline. Discipline isn't about punishment or self-denial. It's about alignment. It's choosing long-term clarity over short-term comfort. It's showing up for what matters, even when it's hard, boring, or inconvenient. Especially then. Because what you do in those moments defines your results. The modern world doesn't reward discipline. It rewards availability. Be responsive. Be reachable. Be in the loop. But being constantly available to others means being unavailable to your priorities. And without discipline, those priorities die in a pile of good intentions. Discipline means saying no when you'd rather say yes. It means working the plan instead of waiting for inspiration. It means protecting time blocks like contracts. Not because you always feel motivated, but because you've decided in advance what matters, and you're honoring that decision. It's easy to wait for perfect conditions. A clear calendar. A rested mind. A quiet house. But those moments are rare. Life is messy. Deadlines shift. Interruptions happen. If you only work when you feel ready, you'll rarely begin. Discipline bridges that gap. It turns chaos into progress through consistent, deliberate effort. This doesn't mean hustling nonstop. True discipline includes rest. It includes space to think, to recover, to reset. But those two must be intentional. Collapse is not rest. Numbing out with screens is not recovery. Rest done well restores focus. Rest done poorly drains it further. Discipline thrives in routine. Not rigid, lifeless routine, but rhythmic anchors. Morning rituals. Work sprints. Reflection windows. These create mental cues that signal it's time to focus. Over time, they become habit. And habits reduce the friction of starting. You don't have to psych yourself up. You just begin. Start small. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Pick one block of time. One task. One commitment to honor, no matter what. Do it daily. Protect it fiercely. The power isn't in the size, it's in the consistency. A small act done every day beats a big act done once. You'll be tempted to drift. To check one quick thing. To skip today and promise yourself tomorrow. That's the edge where discipline is built. Each time you push through, you're not just completing a task, you're becoming the kind of person who follows through. That identity shift is where the real transformation happens. Discipline doesn't eliminate resistance. It trains you to act anyway. And in a world that constantly pulls your attention in 100 directions, the ability to stay centered on what matters is rare. It's not easy. But it's worth everything. You don't need more time. You need more trust in yourself. And that trust is built by keeping small promises, over and over, until the person who gets things done isn't who you're trying to become. It's who you are. Discipline is the bridge between knowing what matters and doing it. It's built through consistent, small acts, not occasional bursts of motivation. True focus flows from structured routines and follow-through, not perfect conditions. Where in your life are you waiting for motivation when discipline is what's actually needed? Choose one task you've been avoiding. Block 25 minutes today and complete it, no matter what. Chapter 10. Finish the day before it starts. The end of the day tells the truth. You either moved what mattered or you didn't. You either worked with intention or drifted from one distraction to the next. But most people don't evaluate their day. They collapse into the evening, numbed by fatigue or pulled into screens, never pausing to consider how their time was spent or how tomorrow will begin. That silence at the end of the day is a missed opportunity. Because how you end determines how you begin. When you finish the day before it starts, you don't wake up into a storm of decisions. You wake up into clarity. The most effective people don't wait until morning to choose their priorities. They decide the night before. They review what got done, what didn't, and what matters next. They close their loops. They clean up the mental mess. And because of that, they start their day with direction instead of noise. This isn't complicated. It takes 10 minutes. But the return on that time is exponential. A short daily review acts like a reset. It clears the clutter, resets your focus, and sets the tone for the next round of deep work. It prevents you from carrying unfinished thoughts into your sleep and waking up already behind. Think of it like landing a plane. You don't just cut the engine and hope for the best. You guide it down with care. The same goes for your day. Don't crash into the night. Land with purpose. Begin by asking 3 simple questions. What did I accomplish today? What got in the way? What matters most tomorrow? These aren't guilt trips. They're checkpoints. They bring awareness without judgment. They help you adjust course. 1 degree of change daily leads to a different destination entirely. Once you know what matters most for tomorrow, schedule it. Not vaguely. Not, I'll get to it. Block the time. Give it a name. Declare it your win. That one move shifts your whole approach. You stop reacting and start directing. You begin the day with confidence instead of indecision. Evening reflection also gives you the chance to celebrate small wins. Progress often hides in the weeds. Without review, you miss it. But when you see it, even in tiny doses, it builds momentum. You recognize that your effort is not wasted. That focus is paying off. This is how mastery is built. Not in a flurry of action, but in the quiet discipline of review and recalibration. Athletes watch game tape. Musicians reflect on rehearsals. You can do the same with your time. Not obsessively. Just intentionally. If you want tomorrow to be different, don't hope, plan. Don't drift, decide. One evening check-in can eliminate hours of morning chaos. It makes space for focus before the world arrives with its noise. And perhaps most importantly, it gives your day a clean end. You can walk away knowing you closed what you could and prepared what you must. That kind of closure brings peace. That kind of planning brings power. Finish the day before it starts, and you'll stop surviving time. You'll start leading it. Ending the day with reflection creates clarity and momentum for tomorrow. A 10-minute evening review prevents morning confusion and wasted time. Planning tomorrow's top priority the night before sets a focused tone for the day. What would shift in your life if you ended each day with 10 minutes of focused reflection? Tonight, review your day and write down tomorrow's most important task. Block time for it, before anything else gets scheduled. Chapter 11. Focus is your freedom. The world tells you time is your enemy. That you're falling behind. That you need to move faster, do more, stay connected, stay available. It feeds the myth that more hours equals more progress, and that burnout is just the price of ambition. But look closer, and you'll see that it was never about time. It was always about focus. Time is a constant. It doesn't stretch. It doesn't care. But focus is your variable. It's your leverage. It's the one resource you can learn to master. And when you do, everything changes. You stop being owned by the clock. You stop apologizing for being unavailable. You stop measuring your worth by how much you got done, and start measuring by whether you did what mattered. Focus is your freedom. It's how you reclaim your day from noise. It's how you build a body of work that reflects your deepest priorities. It's how you experience momentum without exhaustion. Not because you did everything, but because you did the right things with full attention. There's a quiet power in undivided focus. It calms your nervous system. It sharpens your thinking. It brings a sense of control to a world that constantly tries to pull you in 20 directions. And it doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. The willingness to notice when you've drifted, and return. Every day you have a choice. You can live by default or by design. You can react to what comes or lead with what matters. You can let distractions dictate your direction, or you can choose your task, set your boundary, and go deep. You've seen how it works. When you guard your first hour, when you block your time, when you remove distractions, when you review your days, you gain not just clarity, but peace. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to feel the weight of not enough time lift, replaced by the lightness of knowing you're back in control. This is what the distracted world doesn't understand. That freedom isn't doing everything. Freedom is doing fewer things better. It's not the removal of limits, it's the power of limits chosen on purpose. Yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes discipline. But the return is priceless. Focus gives you your time back. Focus gives you your mind back. Focus gives you your life back. And the beautiful part? It's a skill. Not a trait. Not a gift. A muscle you build, one decision at a time. One distraction you ignore. One boundary you protect. One deep hour you honor. And with each act you become someone different. Someone who leads their time. Someone who finishes what they start. Someone who moves through the day with clarity, not chaos. So if you take one truth from this book, let it be this: you don't need more time. You need to make better use of the time you already have. And the way to do that isn't by pushing harder, but by focusing deeper. Because the moment you stop chasing time and start mastering focus, you stop surviving your schedule. You start owning your day. And from that place, you don't just beat the clock. You rise above it. Focus isn't a productivity tactic, it's a way of taking back control. Freedom comes not from doing everything, but from doing what matters deeply. Mastering focus is how you stop chasing time and start leading it. What would your life look like if focus, not frenzy, became your default? Pick one principle from this book. Apply it today, not later. Let action, not intention, be your new standard. Take care and be well.